Happy Wife, Happy Life.
We're your hosts. I'm Kendall Landreth.
And I'm Jordan Myrick.
And we are two incredibly unqualified,
but deeply in love comedians who are here to help you with all things relationships. And today we're doing a Q&A. I think it's important to address that Kendall and I just went to a farm.
It's really important. I can feel an anxiety from you, Jordan, that you're trying to get me on a farm as much as possible so I don't try to purchase a farm.
Yes. Kendall is becoming very trad wife very quickly.
Yeah.
In a way that's freaking me out.
Yep.
So I'm like, okay, I'll take her to a farm. I'll let her bake bread. I keep encouraging her to bake bread.
Yeah.
And it does seem to be kind of mentally satiating you.
Well, I'm trying to do better in life at scratching an itch instead of going full hog wild.
And you're doing an incredible job of this because you do not have good impulse control.
No, I don't.
And I think you've really been controlling your impulse.
You were so turned on by me the other day when I said, I think I'm going to book one horseback riding lesson instead of getting the yearly package.
Well, I just couldn't believe it because you're so, Kendall is like, she can't just do a little bit of a thing. She has to do 100% of the whole thing. And I love that commitment. But at the same time, it results in things of like, these are the shorts I'm obsessed with. Yeah. I'm going to buy 9 pairs of these shorts. Right. And then like a month later, I'm like, oh, you never are wearing these shorts that you bought 9 pairs of. And then she looks me in the eyes and goes, I don't like those. I never liked those.
Why would you think I liked those?
And I'm like, well, you bought 9 pairs of them, so I don't understand. So when you had the realization that you could do things just a little bit, it did feel like a huge breakthrough for you.
Well, because I was like, it was overwhelming me to feel like I wish I could buy a farm. Mm-hmm. I wish I could own a farm, but I have no skills to do that. And I don't even know if I really would like it.
I don't think you would.
But I felt this pull to it. And now that I'm doing my horseback riding lessons and we went to the strawberry field, I feel like, okay, I'm kind of doing the amount of farming I need to do.
Yes. We took our nephews. We have 2 nephews. They're very small. We're not sure how old they are. We see them a lot. We don't know how old they are.
We're always kind of like...
We have a general idea, but we don't really know.
I have no idea how kids are supposed to age either. And, every kid ages differently, too, with developmentally. So it's always very confusing to me, where I feel like I will say things to like my youngest nephew, and I'll be like, so do you watch TikTok or anything? And he's like, I don't speak English. Yeah. And I'm like, I have no idea.
Yeah, it's very hard to know. One of our best friends had a baby recently and we see him about once a week.
Yeah.
So he's always kind of a baby, right? He's always the same. Our nephews, we see once a month, once every other month.
Right.
And they seem so different every time we see them. It's very confusing as 2 people who don't have children.
Well, they grow very fast. Well, and it's also intimidating because this is bad on my part, but it's like I learned my nephew liked dinosaurs when he was 3. And I was like, that's kind of your thing now. And he's gone through like 90 different interests since then. So every time I see him, I'm like still trying to talk about the thing he was into. But every week they've got something new. They're watching new TV shows. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
But we took him to a farm. It was an absolute blast.
We had a great time. I'm like, I got to be getting out in more stuff like that because it's a controlled nature environment.
Yeah.
And that's what I need because I love nature. But I am not one to be left to my own devices in nature.
No, and I think a strawberry, any like picking of a vegetable or a fruit feels so perfect because it almost feels fake. Like they've set up, when we were walking in the strawberry fields, it felt fake. I was like, this is a Truman Show filmed thing for them to so we can pretend we're farmers.
It felt like we were acting in a commercial.
Yes, it was just too perfect. All the strawberries are amazing. They're all in these little rows and they're just all ready.
They're like, pick one off the bush and just take a bite.
Take a bite. There's no dirt on anything. It was crazy. Incredible. It was perfect. We picked romaine lettuce. That was one of the best moments of my life.
Kendall,
it goes
shouted.
Our engagement, better than that picking romaine lettuce. I'm sorry.
Kendall shouted out loud. We're in a group of people, a full group of strangers. Kendall, the way you pick romaine is it looks exactly like you would buy it at the grocery store, but it's sitting on top of dirt. And then you twist it until it just pops off and you have a head of romaine lettuce. And Kendall did it and then stood up and shouted, I'm a farmer. Yeah. And everyone around us looked at her. But that was all it took, right? Like that, it feels that good. You can scratch that itch, and we didn't have to buy a farm. So I'm absolutely thrilled.
I think sometimes I crave a little more fresh air.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I need it all the time. Maybe I just need to. We've been saying we need to do more staycations. That's just drive like 45 minutes, stay overnight at like a farm type place. But I think there's something nice about like me and my dogs. I just open the door and we just walk along this big dirt
She's like a
road.
light southern accent all of a sudden.
It's coming on, isn't it?
Yeah.
I can feel it. Like I do feel like You know, I used to make fun of people that were in my ag department at my school because I grew up in California, but the kids in the ag program all had Southern accents. And I was like, you are an embarrassment. Yeah. That is so embarrassing to fake a Southern accent. But the more I've been on my horse, I'm like, it comes out. When you, even if you're not from the South, if you're riding a horse, you start to be like, hey, y'all.
Well, what's
I'm on my horse.
Interesting is that the accent you were doing a second ago, we are both from the South, but the accent you were doing a second ago is not the accent that either one of our families has. It's like
because my family wasn't farmers. We lived in North Carolina, but this is my farmer accent that I do.
Got it. Okay.
Farmer. It does feel like you can't be like, say cattle. Try saying cattle like a Californian. You can't.
Cattle? Oh my God.
You can't do it. You gotta say cattle.
You gotta say cattle.
You can't go, oh, I'm getting the cattle.
The cattle.
Like, what? That sounds like a brand that you would get from Sephora.
Sure.
All of a sudden.
Yes. No, you're right. I get that. I think it's nice to want to be in nature more, but like, not too much for us. Nature's great for other people, but when we say we want to go on a hike, we want to go on a walk. When we say we want to go camping, we don't want to do that. Like, you know what I mean? It's not real.
Well, that's what I love about, I'm sorry, before we started this episode, Jordan said, remember, we already talked about the horseback riding in the last episode, and I've continued to bring it up because now it's my entire personality.
Sure.
But that's the best part of horseback riding, is it is completely, you're like, I'm a cowgirl, but it is the bougiest and most controlled environment. It's all, but you feel like you're one with the earth.
Sure.
I'm in charge of this big animal.
Hey, you know what I'll say? Drop in the comments if you growing up were a horse girl and you have any tips for Kendall. Anything she should know? Any hacks?
If you're selling a horse?
No, don't tell Kendall if you're selling a horse. We're not buying a horse. We would be rescuing a horse.
Well, of course we would rescue a horse.
And we're not going to get a horse.
We'll see. The sick thing is you give me whatever I wanted, and I know that. I know if I want a horse, the second I want a horse, you're going to be touring the stables with me.
Oh, I'm pretty scared of horses.
You are. I feel bad. You're scared of horses and you're scared of birds, and I want both of those things. I don't want birds. I want chickens.
I'm scared of nature that is not oceanic.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up near the ocean. That's what I'm accustomed to. I grew up near the swamp. I'm also fine with that.
That's crazy. That's a crazy aspect of nature to be okay with.
It really is. I grew up around like a lot of alligators and snakes and things that are actually scary. Does not bother me, but I find chickens to be extremely haunting. I think horses are very scary, but out of respect, I think horses are very beautiful and strong. I don't want to bother them.
Sure. I think they're so smart. In my one experience with Montana.
No, I think horses are extremely smart.
So
to me, it takes kind of a delusional level of confidence to sit on a horse. And I think you have that. So you're the perfect person to do it. Mm-hmm. But when I see that, I'm like, who do you think you are sitting on a horse?
I know.
One of God's most beautiful creatures. You know what I mean?
And the funny thing is the horses give the same energy. They seem like they agree with you. They're like, how dare you?
Exactly.
I was getting so many side eyes from Montana. I wonder if she's still thinking about me.
But people who ride horses are like, the horses love it. My friend Tanner grew up around horses and he's like, the horses love it. They love the stimulation and you play games with them. And so, you know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know. I'm scared of them and for them and I just want them to have the best. You know?
Well, Jordan, I'm desperate to know. We're doing a new segment today.
Yes.
Called, what is it? Relationship Tip of the Week?
Relationship Tip of the Week, where every week we're going to give you a new little fun relationship tip.
And you've come up with this. I don't know what it even is going to be. So I'm going to be learning along with you.
Pretty straightforward. It's kind of exactly what it sounds like. No tricks, no confusion. Every week we just have a little relationship tip of the week where if, let's say you forget everything that's happened in this podcast and you can just walk away with one little tidbit of something that you can actively take into your relationship this week to enhance it.
It's this. Here, let's hear it.
Always carry a little gift.
Oh my God. What are you with you at all times?
At all times. And it could be anything. It could be a singular Hershey's Kiss. It could be a sticker of an animal she likes.
Do you have one right now?
100% in my bag. Well, I took an extra thing of Cheez-Its from the recording studio and put it in my purse.
All right.
Because I know later you're going to want a snack and I'm going to go, I got this for you. And you're going to scream. Yep. Because it shows I was thinking about you in the moment, even in small ways. It costs $0 to $10 depending on what you get, and it really does make you happy. And if you're in a fight, could be huge. Imagine you're fighting, you pull out one singular Hershey's Kiss and you're like, I got this for you.
We've done that before in arguments. I feel like we've been arguing and you've been like, do you want a birthday present?
Yeah, I just have a box of birthday presents that I put in year round for Kendall in our office, and then sometimes when she's really upset, it's not even when we're fighting, like, I feel like I've done something wrong. It's just like when you're really upset about something, I'll be like, do you want a gift? And then I'll give you a gift.
Yeah.
But I think you could do that in small ways. I think, like, isn't it so fun? My family, and I've brought this up on the show before, everyone makes fun of me and laughs at me, including Kendall. My family calls them a happy.
Yeah.
They're just a little happy. It's just like, it's not a full-fledged gift.
Right.
It's just a little happy. I thought about you. It's something that will make you happy. Well, I think they're genius and I love them.
Yeah, it's very sweet because, and Charles always makes fun of me because whenever we go anywhere, just the two of us, I'm always like, I got to get something for Jordan. He's like, that's so insane. You guys live together and are always together, but we went to the zoo recently. And I was like, well, I got to get something for Jordan. It's like, you don't need something from the zoo gift shop that's mostly for children, for Jordan. And I did. And I got you, what did I get you?
You got me a tiny figurine of a giraffe, which is your favorite animal. And now it sits next to my bed and it reminds me of you, which I don't need because you're asleep right next to me. But it is nice.
But how sweet is it? I come from the zoo, I say, I got you something.
It's just nice. But once again, you don't have to spend any money on it. If your partner like loves a certain type of mint or gum, just always carry that mint or gum on you. And then as soon as you finish, you can go, hey, I got you something. And you give them one of their favorite mints. It's kind of giving like Pavlov and a dog, but I think it's fine. I don't think it's bad.
It's very showboaty too. I think you see this, I saw this a lot in acting school where someone would kind of like not prepare and then they would kind of like make up, you know where I see it on all the time? Top Chef. Someone will make like the most basic salmon and they'll be like, I wanted to take you to the Keys. I'm like, this is so dramatic. Like, you clearly just made something normal and you're trying to be like, I came up with something crazy. Yeah. But I do feel like with gifts, you can do a similar thing. Just have a little happy and then be like, guess what? I have something for you that I thought about. And it feels really special. You know what I did the other day? I got you cortisone.
Oh, yeah.
And I laid it on your pillow. And I said, go check your pillow.
And I went in there and she said, that's for your dry thigh skin. And it's nice.
And you threw me down on the bed.
Yeah. And I had my way with her. I couldn't control myself. I said, cortisone for my dry thigh skin.
Well, that's a great tip. I think that's awesome.
Thank you. All right. Into the questions for this Q&A.
Here we go. If you're like, I want to ask a question for the Q&A, you can. You can always go to our Instagram. We're always posing questions. You can slide into our DMs. But we also always are checking our email, especially if you have a really long question. It's hwhlpodquestions@gmail.com. If you just have a saga you need to tell us about, you can send us an email there anytime, and we will answer it on a Q&A. Also, please join our Patreon. We have a lot of fun stuff going on over there, a great group of people, and we just have a blast. So make sure to go check that out for extra content.
All right. The first question is, how do I get over the guilt of making less money than my partner?
You have to just take. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Get as much money as you can. This is not it's not about, I think money guilt is so bizarre to me. I think it's very ingrained in our society to be like, what I give in this can be measured in income. But it doesn't matter. And so I think if you're in it for the long haul with someone, let the money stuff go. I would be so stressed out if I was constantly trying to calculate who technically gave more money to our house or to our, it would be so exhausting. And it's like, who cares? And I think there's also, you know, there's always that question of, well, what if you guys break up? What if you break up? And I'm like, well, I don't want to be in a relationship where I'm preparing for that all times. But also, I'm not a spiteful person, and I genuinely mean this, and don't get any ideas, but even if you, like, cheated on me or something... Okay, enough. Even if you cheated on me, I would not be like, I want my money back. Like, I want equal split. Like, I want Jordan to have nothing. Like, I still would be like, I want you to live a nice life. I don't need to, even just for my sake, to just let myself not care about you struggling financially. I just don't care about it.
Stop nickel and diming people you love. Your partner, your friends, your family. Just stop. If you're in a bad financial place, that's one thing. And I think always be open about that. If your friends want to go to the Bacchanal buffet in Las Vegas and you can't afford it, just say, hey guys, stuff's a little tight for me right now. I can't afford to do that. There should be no issues. And if your friends have an issue with that, they're assholes and you shouldn't be friends with them anymore.
Yeah.
But what's so annoying...
Because it's never those people, though. It's never those people. It's always a girl off her flight from Cabo. She has all new clothes. She's whatever. And then you go out and get coffee and she's like, well, I I didn't eat really a lot of the scones, so maybe I don't Venmo for that. I'm like,
I noticed you got an extra ranch dressing, so maybe you could tip a little more. It's like, shut up. It's so annoying.
Right.
Don't do it to your friends, but don't do it to your partner either. Like, it's not going to be an even split unless you guys keep a spreadsheet, and that's not fun.
Free yourself from that prison.
Yes, and if you feel like you're in a relationship where you're spending a lot of money and your partner is never spending money, have a conversation about that. And I think there's different ways to look at it. I think the person who makes more money is probably going to spend more money on stuff. Just get used to it. If one of you has a lot of money from birth, from family,
that's free. That's everyone should have access to that.
That's community money.
That's community money. You can't trust fund money. That's not your money.
Yes, that's not your money.
That's your wife's money.
That's my money. That's everyone's money. That.
That's your dentist's money. That's everyone's money. That's
everyone involved in your life's money. You should be paying for literally everything. If you're filthy rich, you should pay for literally anything. And I firmly believe that. If you're really rich and have family money, I'm talking you don't have to worry about stuff money, you should be paying for everything. But also, just make sure you're both contributing in ways to your relationship. Kendall and I have been together for 5 years. We've gone through periods where I make more money, where you make more money, where we make the same amount of money, where both of us make no money. And we both just kind of operate the same. And it's making sure that both of us are contributing to the things that need to be contributed to. Right. So we make sure the house is staying clean. We make sure the dog is being cared for. We make sure we're emotionally caring for each other. We're making sure the rent is getting paid. There's no reason to feel guilt. If you make less money than your partner, it doesn't matter.
It's just it's too much stress. I would take, even if I looked back on our life, I'm not saying this is what it is, but if I looked back on our relationship and someone could calculate what each of us spent, and it was still I'd spent way more, I would still take that over the anxiety of making sure things are even. I also think, it goes back to that feeling of whoever makes more works more, which is so not true.
Yes.
So it's to me, I'm we both work jobs. We both have jobs and we work all the time. So it's the money is just, you're not owed less money because we work the same amount. Do you know what I mean?
100%. Now, that being said, if your partner is a piece of shit, not doing anything, spending all your money, dump them.
Right.
You know what I mean? But if that's not the situation, then everything's fine and just relax.
Right. Totally.
How do you let people around you know that you don't want kids and that it's not just a joke or something you're just saying in the moment? I feel like my parents, coworkers, and friends who all have kids get offended when I say I don't want kids and explain why. I'm judging or condemning them for choosing to have kids. I try to say it in a casual, joking manner to get the point across without being aggressive, but I always just get told that I'll change my mind.
Here's what I think is hard about stuff like this. I'm from my perspective, why do you need people to know this about you?
Yeah.
You're saying I'm trying to get it across in a, what did they say? In a
jokey way so it doesn't come off aggressive.
But it's well, nobody's sitting there with a fertility kit being this is the time. So I'm why do people need to know that you do or don't want to have kids? I understand if every time you go, your mom's constantly when are you having kids? When are you having kids? And you're I'm not going to have kids. And your mom just keeps being but when? Then it would be I'm not. And I need to make you understand that it's not a joke and it's something that's serious to me. So you're not prepared for that and you don't keep asking me about it. But I feel when it comes to just people, we are surrounded by a lot of people who have kids. I feel in the last couple of years, all of our friends have had children.
Yeah.
We are surrounded by so many kids. And I don't feel the need when I'm with those people to be I'm not planning on having kids. And here's why. Because I do think I don't know. To be honest, I feel a lot of people with kids are kind of stressed out.
Sure.
And it does feel why do I need to remind you what it's not having kids? You enjoy aspects of having kids. I'm sure it's stressful at times. But this is not about you don't need to know my place on having kids. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. I will say, though, if you're interacting with people that are putting pressure on you to have kids, I always think you should just be rude. And I know that feels like extreme advice, but if people are badgering you about it, if you're a friend, when are you going to have kids? You say you do it in a joking manner to not be aggressive. Why don't you want to be aggressive? I think be aggressive. It's if they're being annoying about it, I think you can also say, I don't want to have kids. You don't have to explain why. If they're why? Say, because I think it's selfish to have children and leave it at that. And then if they're well, I had children, be great. You clearly don't think it's selfish to have children. That's the choice you made. This is the choice I made. I'm sometimes people have to be put in their place a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think that that's fine to do, even if it's people you love, you know?
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you just gotta set them straight. And then if they're like, that's rude that you said that, you can be like, well, I felt the need to say that because you keep pushing this thing on me, and I think that's rude. So I think that moving forward, you know how I feel, I know how you feel. We just don't have to talk about that. We can just enjoy talking about your beautiful children, and we don't have to worry about the fictional children I don't have. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, and maybe I'm not used to, like, we live in Los Angeles, obviously, and we're in this industry, so we're not, I think whenever someone has a kid, people are like, oh my God, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like we deal with that as much. Like, I think if we started trying to have a baby, people would be like, whoa, that's wild. So maybe we don't deal with that as much. But I think, just being like, I don't want kids. And honestly, I don't know. You could just be like, having kids to me is a sensitive topic. I feel like people would back off because maybe it clearly is a sensitive topic, and then they could be like, I don't know what that means, so I'm not going to ask any more questions.
Yes, I'm a big proponent of lying also in situations like that. Like, do you know what I mean?
Well, that's the advice I give, because Jordan's much more comfortable being aggressive.
Sure.
I could not. Like, I will, like, joke until I'm like exploding out of the ears, and so I think I would be more likely to be like, oh, I can't, I can't. I just don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I just think, especially obviously it's harder to lie to friends and family, but I think that, like, if you're interacting with like coworkers or like random people, just like lie. Yeah. Like, if they're like, well, why don't you want to have kids? Be like, I've tried and I've had 6 miscarriages, so I can't. Well, because you don't owe them the truth, and they're pushing into your business. And if they keep doing it, now you've said something that they'll finally stop asking about.
Well, and that could be the truth. That's the thing that I find. I feel like, to me, talking about pregnancy, it's like, just stop. Why
you don't know?
You don't know, because I think something like that too. It's like, you might have just saved someone who actually had that experience from having to deal with this person. Being like, when are you having kids? When are you having kids? So I think that is a great tip. But I think that if you are someone, because I have also met people where it's like, they cannot be around kids without being like, I don't want kids. I don't want kids. God, this is a prison. This sounds terrible. God, how do you get any sleep? It's like, you don't need to do that. You don't need to express your thoughts on kids. It's like when I go to someone's house who has a cat, I'm not like, I have a dog. I don't have a cat. I picked a dog because I like dogs more than cats. Like, I'm not going to do that.
Shut up, bitch.
Right. It's just so you don't really need to share. So unless you have people who are just pestering you.
Yes. Next question. My girlfriend and I have been dating for 4 years and now live happily together. This year, we both applied to grad school and got into different schools that are 3 hours away from each other. My program is a huge financial investment and takes 4 years to complete. My girlfriend's program doesn't cost any money. She can drop out in 2 years with a master's degree, and she doesn't seem like she likes school very much. My question is, how do I continue to be supportive of her dreams when they are taking her far away from me and she doesn't seem that enthusiastic about it? I think that's an interesting question. I think it's very hard to show support for someone when they don't feel like they want to do the thing. And I feel like we encounter that a lot with Kendall will come into the room and she'll be like, I would rather do anything than go to the gym. And I'll be like, great, then don't go to the gym. And she'll be like, you can't say that. You have to tell me to go to the gym.
Well, because
and I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, but I think that's hard because it's like, there are things you should do for your health that you're like, I don't want to do. Like, it's like there are things that you have to do. Like, if I came in the room and was like, I don't want to do my taxes, you wouldn't be like, well, then don't. You know what I mean?
Sure. But I think this could be a similar situation. I think maybe she doesn't like school. Maybe she doesn't want to do this program, but she feels like she has to do this program to enhance her career or whatever. So I think it is hard watching your partner do something they don't seem enthused about.
Well, especially if it, like, I think it would be more on the same page if I was like, I'm going to go to the gym every day and I have to move to 3 hours away.
I have to move to Oklahoma. Yeah.
I'd be like, wait a second. Guess to me, it's like, it's not a big deal for me to go. So if I'm on a day where I'm like, oh, I just wish I didn't go, it's like, well, it takes an hour and it's not a big deal versus this is life altering. And it doesn't really affect you versus like, this is a big life affecting thing. So I think it is hard because I think you could have a conversation that's like, I obviously will do anything. If you want to be long distance, we can do it. But I just want to let you know that, like, it's going to be very hard on me. I think it's, and you could even say, like, I'm not trying to come off as guilting you, but I just want to be clear this is the thing you want.
Yeah, and I think be clear about motivation, too. You
can even say it seems like you don't. I think maybe it's best to be upfront, because to be like,
yes,
it seems like you're not that interested. Because I feel like we've had stuff before where one of us will be like, it seems like you don't really care about this thing. And the other person is like, oh, that's not true. It's literally just that I feel anxious about it, or I feel nervous,
or scared, or whatever.
I'm sad that I'm going to have to leave you. So it's like hard for me to get that excited, but it is what I want. And then it's like, great, conversation done, versus this like build up of like, it seems like you really aren't into this. And if they're not into it, I wish I knew what the program was, because I'm like, can it just be closer?
Yeah, but it's hard because with grad schools and stuff, it's like you get money from the school, and it's
I'm not the one to be giving advice on that. 100%. I don't know anything about college. But.
Yeah, I think make it fun and sexy that you're doing long distance.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? Like both of you meet in a town in the middle, rent a hotel room, and just go to town on each other once a month. You know what I mean? Have it be fun. Have that be your little ritual. Send each other postcards.
Yeah. Well, and you've built enough. You've been together long enough that I don't think long distance is that big of a deal. I think the longer you're together, it's easy. I think some people would think it's harder, but I think we started long distance and that was hard.
Yeah.
Because it's like we're getting to know each other. We're going on our dates long distance. We're, trying to find out about each other's life from so far away, versus you've established so much. It's like, I think just take it as like a time to really find yourself, like spend way more time with friends, pick up a hobby that you wouldn't usually do. But I think it is a big life change. And I think if you were moving across the country for something, the 3 hours isn't too bad, but you were moving really far away for something, I was like, you don't even seem like you really want to do this. That would be a bummer. But sometimes with jobs, you have to do stuff. I think especially with school, I don't know a ton about this, but I feel like people will have a job, but they have to go through these prerequisites to like get to that job, and you kind of just have to like bite the bullet and do it sometimes.
Yeah, but I think you can also vocalize like, hey, this thing's happening that's really changing our life. I'm really sad about it, and you just don't seem like you care about it that much. So sometimes that really bums me out, and I would like to talk to you about that. I think you could just have a normal, non-heated conversation about it.
Right. Like, remember when I went to TikToker school?
Yeah.
How long distance was so hard.
That was so hard.
My grad school. I have a master's in TikToking.
Yeah, it's incredible. Just kidding. Kendall went to like no school. Kendall barely finished high school.
That's not true. I graduated high school easy peasy. Not easy peasy.
Kendall.
But I graduated high school. I got there. I walked down the aisle.
I guess it probably was easy peasy because you didn't do most of it.
I didn't do most of the work.
And just a question, you walked down the aisle at high school?
Yeah, I actually think I might have accidentally got married, but I have no. I walked down the aisle. It's an aisle. It's an aisle.
I don't know. I did not walk down an aisle at my high school graduation or my college graduation.
Well, we had a big. You probably had a big graduating class too.
There were like 600 and something people in my graduating class.
Yeah. We were on the field. We were on the football.
I did
graduate. I could show you the pictures. I did graduate from high school.
It's like a staged photo shoot of Kendall from like last year.
Yeah, that my mom made me do to feel better about myself. She was like, "You don't need to. It's fine. Just get the gown."
My partner and I broke up in January after being together for 8 years. We still live together. We're riding out the lease until it ends in July. No bad blood, very roommate vibes now, a tiny sprinkle of awkwardness every once in a while, but overall the situation is as good as it could be. My ex has not told his family that we broke up. We live about 2-ish hours away from them, and he's not super close with them. My question is, I'm still in their extended family group chat. Parents, siblings, cousins, aunts. This chat is mainly used for coordinating holidays together. How and when do I get out of this group? Do I just remove myself? Do I ask him to remove me? Do I make a final statement announcing my departure? It just feels weird since I've been in these people's lives for 8 years to just ghost them and never speak to them again.
Oh, that's hard. I think those are two different problems though, because I'm like, he has to be in charge of this.
Sure.
To me, I would be like, Jordan, you've got to notify your family we're no longer together.
Yes.
And you need to have them start a new group chat. I am not going to take part in that. But also I think you could send like separately to people, people you're close with. Like, you have definitely relatives that I would not feel the need to be like, hey, they'd be like, who are you?
Yeah.
But if you met a relative that was really, you met a couple times, I think you would totally send an email or a text that's like, hey, we're not together anymore, but it was really nice knowing you.
Yeah.
But the group chat, he's got to remove you.
He's got to tell them, I do think you can make an announcement and then leave the group chat. I think that's very confident and very cool. If you were to just be like, hey guys, Nick and I broke up. I've really loved getting to know all of y'all. Thank you so much for all your kindness. Yes. And then leave the group chat. I think that's extremely classy.
Very classy.
But I also think that like you cannot leave the group chat and have him eventually kick you out, but you can just send an email being like, hey guys, I just wanted to say thanks, because if you have a nice relationship with them, I completely understand. Being like, it feels so weird to just never speak to them again. I feel like if you and I broke up, I would send your mom an email or a text or a phone call.
Yeah.
Just being like,
totally.
Love you, queen. Sorry,
well, I feel like I would
happened.
still see your parents, to be honest.
Yeah, my parents like you more than they like me, so that is what would happen.
But it is hard when you get close to people. I've always found that really alarming, and I've heard where people like will break up with their partner of like 10 years, and the mom is like, you're my everything to like the daughter-in-law or whatever, and then just like never speaks to them again. I think that is, unless like there was cheating involved or
But I have friends who stayed in relationships longer than they probably should have because they liked the person's family so much.
Yes, I think that's really hard. Well, I think especially in like really hetero relationships. Yeah. Because a lot of time, like, that's who you're spending the most time with. It's like when I see these families in the mid, what?
Just the concept of a really hetero. I'm like, yeah, well, your husband's out golfing all the time. So who are you going to spend time with other than his sisters?
I mean, though, like really hetero families where it's like, okay, we had kids and now it's like the husbands do stuff. Whenever there's like, some people are always at their family's house. The girls are together. I love the mom. I love the sisters. We're so close. We all have kids together. And then I like go home with my bitch husband. It's like, who cares? Like, just... ride it out.
I guess that's true. Okay, I don't really think about that.
It's like the concept of sister wives. I think like a lot of on that show, it's like they're just like, these are my girlies.
Yeah, they're like, I love friendship. And I have to marry a man. But it
can really heighten the quality of your life.
I guess that's true. I feel like my family is very homosexually aligned. Where like it's not like that. I have a relationship with so little of my family, but I feel like when we see my parents, it's like I go in the kitchen and cook dinner for everybody, and then my mom is building a piece of furniture in the backyard.
And your dad and I are always sitting in silence drinking a margarita.
And what are you watching on TV? Underwater camera footage. It's like all my dad is watching. He's either watching an architectural video about some building that was built a million years ago, or footage of like a camera that's been attached to a pier.
It's
and there's
my
just
dream.
Fish swimming by.
It's my favorite thing. Like I will go to your house, and your dad and I, he'll make me a margarita, and we sit and we watch a YouTube video, or I'll read my book in silence. 8 hours go by. We stand up and we go, "What a nice day."
Yeah. It's really nice.
And he'll say, Kendall and I had such a nice time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wish I was doing that right now, to be honest.
I know. God, my dad told me the other day, and Kendall loves this. She has to try to steal my thunder. I was talking to my dad on speakerphone. He didn't know she was in the room. Sorry, Dad. You shouldn't do that. I know. But we weren't talking about anything serious. And my dad was like, I haven't seen you in a while. And I was like, oh, what? You miss me? Knowing he's not going to say yes because that's just how he is. And he was like, yeah, sure. And then Kendall's like, ask him if he misses me. And I'm like, Kendall wants to know if you miss her. And he was like, yes, but not as much as you because you're technically my daughter. I was like, what do you mean I'm technically your daughter?
On paper, you're my daughter. But
like so rude.
In energy and spirit, him and I.
It's so rude. It's so unbelievably rude. And then my one ally in our families up and died.
Who? Oh,
your dad.
It's like... Who died? I thought you were announcing a death in the family right now. I was like, the Pope?
Yeah, our family, the Pope. No, I feel like my one ally in our family that always chose me was always Team Jordan.
He always had your back.
Damn, now he's living in a little vase on my countertop.
You talk to him. He still backs you up from there.
I know. We do talk to Kendall's dad's urn a lot. And I can feel his energy supporting me, even now. Love you, Jean.
Next question.
I'm so in love with my guy best friend. We met 2 years ago and we lived a few states apart and we were casually seeing each other. We both had recently come out of relationships and neither of us were really in a spot to date. So although we talked often, we didn't see each other much and we ended up bickering a lot and then the whole thing just fizzled. About a year ago, we ended up moving to the same place and are now in the same friend group. We are really close friends and we see each other very often. We get along much better now and don't really get into tiffs and even travel together in small groups, and it goes well. He has a very black and white way of thinking, like we tried this once and it didn't work out, so why would it work out now? Whereas I feel like I have gotten to know him better. We're in a very different place in life, and I think things could work out between us very well. We have some unspoken boundaries where we don't go into more emotional conversations, talk about dating with each other, so it feels really difficult to bring up. I want something to happen between us, but I don't want to risk hurting our friendship and the larger friend group since we all hang out so often. I've tried dating other people, but I cannot seem to get over my feelings for him. And then this person included WWWH WHLD, which stands for what would happy wife, happy life do? And I love that. And you should all be ending your questions with that. I think that's great. It's like, what would Jesus do? But more important.
Wow. Well, this is what's hard. I feel like there's so much. You guys already have so many boundaries in place that even if you dated and broke up and still hung out in the friend group, it would be shockingly similar to what it is now.
Yes.
So I'm like, just go ahead and do it. The only thing is if he's not wanting to do it, it's like, screw it. I'm also like, I'm not trying to be rude. This friendship doesn't sound that great to begin with. Seems like it's kind of like a half friendship, half you're dating already. So it's like, if you can't talk about dating or emotions in that way, you're kind of left with something really surface level, which to me is still can totally be fun. I've had friends like that where I'm like, we just joke and we don't ever talk about anything serious. Very fun. But you could seems like do that after if you broke up anyways.
Yeah.
Right?
I think it's so hard because it's like, if he does not want to date you, you should not date him. Even if you finally convince him to do it and then you guys end up doing it, it's just not going to work out well and it will make you feel pathetic. Speaking from experience. Like, don't beg someone to date you. I know sometimes you're just like, God, I'm right and they're wrong.
It doesn't matter, though.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're right and they're wrong. It's still not going to make you feel good. So I think you either have to... this is what I would do if I were you. I would do a big confession of love.
I was in the same boat. I agree.
I'm in love with you. Let's try this. If he's like, I don't know, nah, bye. Go immediately have sex with someone really hot.
Because you know what that is to me?
Yeah.
That's incompatibility.
Sure.
I think that changed my life when I started thinking of rejection as just incompatibility.
Yes.
Maybe that makes me sound delusional and insane.
But no one has ever rejected me. It's just incompatibility.
Everyone likes me. We're just not compatible.
Yeah.
But I really had to start being like, when I list my 5 things I need in a relationship, you wanting to date me has to be one of them.
Gotta be number 1, I would say.
I know that sounds crazy, but God, I'd never done it before.
Yeah.
I literally was only interested in people where it was like, they were attracted to me. I mean, come on. Of course. How could you not be? But it was just like they were not ready to go all in, or there was something holding them back, or they were just not as into me as I was into them.
Hung up on an ex.
Yes, and stop thinking about it as you doing something wrong. It's just incompatibility, because I really do think at the core it is. I feel like why we were able to date each other was because we are the same in that way, where we were both like, I like you. Let's only ever date each other now.
Yes.
And I think that is compatibility. Like, there are people who can date and go back and forth for a year and a half and then finally get together. That's not me. And it's not you. And I can't do that. And it made me by the end feel completely desperate and pathetic. And so I am like, if you have to start thinking of it as someone being equally interested in me is compatibility and is necessary.
But I think you're 100% right, because even if someone's not attracted to you, that is ultimately an incompatibility, right? Like, you're attracted to them and they're not attracted to you. And I think you're right about that. Right. Because I do think there is this thing of just being like, oh, if he just got over his ex, he and I would be perfect together. Right. And sweetheart, a man who's obsessed with his ex is not perfect for you. That's just the reality of the situation.
But also, to be honest, it's not even his ex. Because I feel like I've also had relationships where it's like, when I was younger, where it's like, my partner's obsessed with their ex, my partner's upset. We're not official because my partner still has these feelings for his ex. If I could just, her ex, I never dated a man.
Yeah.
Her ex. If I could just make them realize that, like, I'm better than the ex and the ex is gone and they can just get over it, then we'd be fine. And then we stop talking and they immediately are official with someone else who's not their ex. It's like, it's not even the ex, it's you, unfortunately. Like, they don't want to be with you. If anyone wants to be with you, they will be with you. And like, I think there's so many things of like, but they don't know what they want. Probably. Yeah, probably.
Then you should not want to be with them.
Right. They're
if
never
you know
know
what you want and someone else does not know what they want, you two are not in the same place to be dating right now. Right. And I think that's true with anything. I don't think that's just true with romantic relationships. If what you want and what your friend wants are not compatible in terms of friendship, one person wants to hang out all the time, one person never wants to hang out, not a productive friendship.
Right.
If what you want from your job and what your job wants from you are not compatible, there's going to be more stress at your job than if you found a job that was more aligned with your lifestyle and what you were looking for. So I think you have to keep that in mind of like, you have to figure out what you want and then seek people that want the same things.
Yeah.
Fundamentally.
Yep.
You know?
Yes, I do. I totally agree.
That's what I think.
I agree.
I think,
I think you got to just tell him and then be like, it is what it is.
Yeah. And we've also said this before, but I'll literally never stop saying it. I'm sorry. He's not your best friend. He's not your best friend. I'm sorry.
No, he's
not. You guys have to set boundaries where you can't
talk about things too emotional.
About things that are this is a quote from you, and I love you, but I'm being real with you right now because you asked. You had to make unspoken boundaries so you're not having good and clear and honest communication. That's a red flag already for a friendship. Then those boundaries are not having emotional conversations. What? Huh? What are you even talking about? Then you also can't talk about dating with each other. So if you're dating or he's dating, you have to actively keep that secret from each other as to not irritate, concern, upset, whatever the other person. That's not a friend. That's not even a friend. That's definitely not a best friend.
Right. I know. Best friend you would supposedly have as your maid of honor in the wedding. Imagine that. They would have to not talk about the wedding at the wedding.
I'll tell you right now, my best friend has waxed my butthole.
Okay. Your best friend has seen my
butthole.
But I mean, truly.
Yes. So I'm just like, this is not your best friend. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like you can't, I understand what you're saying. You're like, you're really close and you get along, but I really think a lot of what you're feeling is not friendship. I think you guys are in a weird pseudo relationship that feels intoxicating.
Right.
And I have been there for sure. And it feels good. And if you want to live in it, that's totally fine. But if you're
being having sex at least.
Sure, but even if you don't, even if you don't,
these weird pseudo-sexual relationships with but we don't speak and we just kind of look at each other. I'm like, get in there and bone then.
I don't agree with you. I don't agree with you because I think it can be tantalizing to not. I think it can be very tantalizing to not. So, but I'm just like, be getting enjoyment out of it.
Yeah.
Don't hold yourself back from other relationships if you don't want to. Don't be worried about, I'm worried I'm going to mess up the friend group. Literally none of your friends care about this. And if I'm being 100% honest with you, my guess is that your friends find this whole thing annoying. I think you and this man are probably adding more conflict and tension to your friend group at large, and they wish you guys would just figure it out.
Right.
And once again, I don't think there's anything wrong with having that type of relationship if that type of relationship feels good to you.
When you say you've gone on dates and just no one compares, what I would say is to just give yourself some sense of relief that I promise you this man is not the only man for you, and the reason you're not liking other people is because of this person. It's just because you're like emotions attached to this man. And I don't, that doesn't feel good now, but I promise you it's not like a sign that he's the one that you haven't been able to get. I mean, I love you more than anything, but if you broke up with me, I'm sure I could find someone eventually.
Yeah.
And I think it is just knowing that that is not a truth, that you can't find someone else. I think there's a million people you could have a wonderful relationship with.
Yeah, because once again, if you and I broke up, it would be because something is wrong.
Right.
So you would go find someone that was more compatible with you. And I always say this, and I wish someone would cross-stitch it on a pillow and send it to me. There are only two outcomes in breaking up. One, you break up, they were the love of your life. They were the right person. So you guys inevitably get back together. But you've had time, clarity, space to see that, and you can come back together stronger than ever. Or you break up, you're not right for each other, and then you both find people that you're more right for.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a great situation too.
And here's what I'll say. I hope you have a massive pillow. Because if you're going to cross-stitch that on it, that's a lot.
I challenge you to do it. I know our gay fans are crafty.
Pillow.
I know there are some lesbians that listen to this podcast that could cross-stitch that bad boy in 30 minutes to an hour. And if you do it, I'll pay for shipping.
Oh, God. I agree with you, though. I think you're totally right.
Yeah.
I think you're totally right. I think especially, it's also funny because you guys have already dated. So it's like, I understand if you're like, I have a best friend. It's this friendship, we've given advice on this a million times, so I won't continue to repeat myself, but I get being scared to ruin a friendship, but your friendship is already based on the fact that you've already dated. So we really can't change past this. We're already there. The only changing would be that you guys would possibly have a great relationship. And I hope you do.
Yeah.
But I don't think you will.
All right, we got one final question.
Yeah. Hello, you wonderful people.
Okay. Okay.
First of all, so much love for being sent the new year and new season. I hope you're staying safe down there with the crazy winds and fires. Thinking of you both lots and sending good vibes from Mormon land. Here's my question. Last year, I went through a situation with a close friend. She was getting divorced. I was in a tough situation and we became close. I developed feelings for her, which turned out to be one-sided. In order to save the friendship, I accepted her decision and tried to move on. I'll admit that I struggled, but what it led to was a growing apart that's still in place. The other night, I felt inspired to write her a letter of apology. My quandary, however, is whether to send it or not. I know sometimes writing a letter like that and never sending it is the way to go, but I'd really like to try and repair things with her, and I feel like the letter kind of explains and takes responsibility for my actions and poor choices.
Okay, here's my thought.
Oh, sorry. They also said, if you want a copy of the letter, please let me know.
Okay, first of all, send us a copy of the letter because I'm nosy as all hell.
That'll just be for us to read privately.
That's just for us to read privately and chat about. Yeah, because we just want to know. This is my thing. What is your intention? First of all, you said you're apologizing for your wrongdoings. Is sending this letter to this person going to be more upsetting to them than beneficial if you're the one that's done the wrongdoing? I think you have to kind of prioritize them over prioritizing yourself, first and foremost, if you've been bad, if you've done wrong. Secondly, I think that you have to determine what you want out of this situation. Are you fully over this person where you could just go and have a normal friendship with them? Great. If you secretly inside are kind of still obsessed with them, but you're telling yourself, no, this is like a letter to apologize and then we'll just be friends. But your heart of heart's intention is to make them fall in love with you. I think go in your backyard and set the letter on fire.
Especially because, to be honest, once someone's writing a letter, you know it's romantic.
Yeah.
This is not Bridgerton. If you're writing a letter, you want that to be kept in a keepsake box for your children to open later.
Yep.
If you don't care, you're writing a text.
Send an email.
Maybe an email, but even that feels a little too romantic. I'm like, you're sending a text, but I think mostly if you're over it, you're not reaching out. But if you're genuinely like, I loved our friendship, I missed our friendship, I think that... I don't know. It's really hard. I think sometimes you just have to, unfortunately, take what you learned in some friendships and move them on to another friendship.
Just find another friendship. No friendship is that precious. If you've been in love with someone, the friendship's not that good. I'm sorry. I know we've said this before and people got upset about it. People were like, of course you can fall in love with your friends, whatever. I think you can fall in love with your friends. But I think if you've fallen in love with a friend and it didn't work out romantically, I think it's really hard to reset. And I think if there's going to be a reset, it has to be on both sides. It can't be a one-sided reset. Right. And I think you both have to be on the exact page together of how you're going to reset. I think it's like a much bigger thing that you both need to do as a unit. Yes. So I think it's very hard. And I think a lot of people are just really quick to be like, actually, no, our friendship was great, so we're just going to keep being friends. And I'm like, friendship is so much more than that.
And the power dynamic is always going to be weird. It's always going to be like one of the person is in a higher place of power, which is hard and makes the other person resent that person. And I just think it's too weird. Yeah. And I don't know. I think it's a red flag to want to be friends. If someone told me they were in love with me, I think I wouldn't want to be friends with them because I'm in a relationship. But I also think I don't need that type of attention. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because that's the type of person, someone who only wants to be friends with people who are obsessed with them and have crushes on them. That's a toxic person.
It is.
Sorry.
It is.
That's the truth.
It is.
Sorry.
That's
the truth. Sorry. Wow, another truly incredible episode.
I love that we say that about our own podcast at the end of every...
truly stimulating, thought-provoking, incredible episode.
We've done it again.
We've really done it one more time.
And I have a feeling we will continue.
Absolutely.
I'm so grateful you guys write in. You have no idea how exciting it is for us to read your little drama that you've got going on. That wasn't supposed to sound condescending.
Your little stupid, dumb, gay drama you write us about. Kendall, you're so rude.
I really do love reading it. I feel like I don't, every time I'm like, I don't have enough drama in my life. I got to get something going.
Yeah, you got to start making worse decisions.
Worse decisions. Thank you so much for being here and sending your questions. We always appreciate it so much. Thank you for trusting us with your deep, dark secrets.
And you can always continue to send in questions because videos. We try to do a Q&A pretty much every month.
Yeah, we have the best time doing it, and we really appreciate you. Please rate and review us on whatever platform you're listening on at this moment. It really helps us so much. If you're on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah, make sure to follow us everywhere. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Did you know that you can follow people on podcasting networks?
Come on now.
You can. We recently found that out and found out that it's important. So please do it to help us keep having this podcast because we're fully independently funded and produced.
And if you're on our Instagram, it's also always great because we do a lot of updates there. For example, when we struggled the last couple of weeks with getting a studio, we were doing all the updates there. So if you were just like, where are they? You would have been probably crying way less if you'd been on our Instagram because we would have told you where we were.
And we were doing giveaways and all kinds of stuff. So
get over there. Get over there. Thank you so much for being here. And we hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week. Happy Monday.
Bye. Happy Monday.